AEW legends Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck. Now, let's welcome your host, Mike Freland.
Welcome to another Tuesday night. It is time for Front Row Material. My name is Mike Freland, and I am joined by
the Ritt.
Get ready, guys, to enjoy the most fun time you can have with your hands above the table on a Tuesday night. We got so much lined up for you tonight. Got two great interviews that are going to be lined up tonight. We're going to have Ring of Honor star Eli Isom is going to be joining us. That's going to be a great conversation. And who else is joining us tonight?
We have a former NXT talent, Ms. Alyssa Marino. I keep wanting to say Alyssa Milano.
You keep saying this Alyssa Milano thing all night tonight. We don't have Alyssa Milano. So you're going to say that, and all of a sudden everyone's going to be like, Alyssa Milano is going to be on this wrestling podcast. No, we have somebody better than Alyssa Milano. She is a former NXT ring announcer. She's going to be joining us as well. So many things are going on tonight. Huge show. Not to mention, we're going to have our panel coming up later on the program. We're going to be talking about the WWE cuts. We're also going to be talking about Ring of Honor. We're going to be talking about so many other things. We also want your feedback and comments. Once again, jump into the chat. Let us know. We'll be more than happy to share your comments and answer your questions. Wow. Let me say something really quick before we get started. Do you drink sparkling water?
No.
You're not a sparkling water guy?
No. It's got to be pure H2O or Propel.
What?
Or Propel.
Propel?
Propel.
All right, whatever. Your Propel, it's my Propel. So anyway, my wife was telling me, she says, you like the sparkling water? And I said, yeah. She said, well, you know what we can do? We can actually go and get cans of it. So I don't know how many of you drink the sparkling water. So I started drinking the sparkling water instead of soft drinks because it's got not much in it. Here's what makes no fucking sense to me at all. If we can get a good shot of the camera here. Look at this. Calories, none. Okay, 0. But then look at this one right here. Per container, 10. Now, kids, I never graduated very high on my list of high school graduation. There was like 687. I was 686. I don't understand this. I can't be the only person who's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. But you know what? Well, it's just one of those things. It's what I call a bugaboo. It just bothers me. It gets up my crawl.
ECW fan, we will be talking about that. Yeah, I got a huge update from last week. But let's get to our guest.
Let's get to our guest right now. Joining us right now, Ring of Honor star, somebody who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, has wrestled all over the country, has had some matches with some of the biggest names in the industry. We're going to be finding out exactly what got him into the industry, his views and his opinions on the state of wrestling as it is right now. Eli Isom, come on in, buddy. It's good to see you, and it's great to have you on the program with us tonight. We're being attacked by wasps. Hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on one second. Let's see if we can try this. I know. Hold on a second. Let me try it again. Eli, do you hear that? You hear me fine, right? Okay, right now it seems like Eli either has like a weed whacker going on in his room, or he's about to die from anaphylactic shock from bees stinging him. It is the loudest noise. Let's try it again.
There, wait.
Hold on. Now it's just Darth Vader. Hold on. Eli, can you hear me?
We cannot hear you.
We cannot hear you. Are you muted?
No. I don't know if your microphone's working or not.
Is this Eli or Jerry Lynn? Who am I talking to right now? What? This guy's ribbing us right now. He's like, I have to take this crappy podcast booking, but I really want to get out of it. So, well, we had some technical difficulties earlier.
No, we didn't.
You and I did with each other. You couldn't hear me. All right, let's try it again. No skis on that one. Nope. Oh, man. This is...
And here,
all right. Hey, take your time. Do what you need to do.
ECW fan says it would not be FRM without technical difficulties. You know, that should be our slogan.
We're just going to put him back in the gorilla position, and I think he's going to try to go ahead and reconnect. We are a mess. We are a hot mess.
I think that's going to be the new slogan. That should be the next T-shirt.
It should be. Front row material, it's just a hot mess.
No, front row material. We have technical and then just stop. Don't even print the rest of the shirt.
There you go. Yeah. But as we're waiting for him to come back on, what is going on with you, Ritt? Look at this. The Ritster is wearing the brand new design front row material shirt. It's got Mikey Jerry, but it's also got the Ritt and Freland on it. I'm sporting the original throwback, the original crinkly iron-on, which I'm very proud of. Wearing the original one. So
I was going to wear the original one. I still have it.
What stopped you?
This just looks too sexy.
It does. It's a good-looking shirt. It's very comfortable. Ritt, how can people get their own very authentic, awesome front row material shirt that you're wearing right there?
Hey, hit us up in the DMs. I will sit there and send it to you. I can get it to Canada in a week, where it takes everybody else 6 months. Those are Butts words, not mine.
You know what? I love you. I mean, literally, whenever I throw it to you, it's like, hey, let me tell you something right here. People are gonna be sliding into your DMs, right? Asking you, how do I get that really cool shirt, Ritt?
Hey, Freland, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word. Take Liam Savage.
I tried on
the new shirt.
Yes, for the first time today. Feels amazing.
Read that last two words.
Feels amazing.
Damn.
Amazing.
Oh, man.
Fabric is so soft.
Do you want to know what didn't feel amazing, Freeland?
What didn't feel amazing?
The feel of the freaking aunt's chair that you had to sleep on for the past week.
Well, first of all, let's talk about that for a second. My wife realized that you were the one that was behind the whole, hey, the fart in the can bit went real well. Maybe because she's sick, she's on antibiotics, and she went to bed early. But it was you who decided, nah, don't worry about it. She's a faker. How about you take the camera in the room? I got kicked. You probably didn't catch it on camera. I got kicked, not in the nutsies, right? Right above the nutsies, okay? And I almost threw up on her. Like, I had to hold it in. I would have yacked 42 cookies all over her.
Speaking of holding it in, let's bring it back to Jerry Lynn.
There we go. Let's get him here.
Jerry, are you there?
Eli, are you there, buddy?
Oh, my goodness. Cannot hear. It's your microphone. It has to be.
So on your computer, there might be a little setting that has your microphone. I do this with Jerry Lynn. He doesn't. So don't feel bad. Eli, don't feel bad. Superstar Jerry Lynn has no clue whatsoever. I have an idea.
Oh, great.
Well, kind of. Hold on. Can the audience hear Eli? I hear some noise.
ECW's band says this is a silent interview. Wait, there we go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Good?
We can, absolutely.
There we go.
Do you remember that Verizon commercial, you guys?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I wish I didn't hear you, Freeland.
And just to think, I was about to send you a Hanukkah gift. No, not anymore. We're here with Eli Isom with Ring of Honor. Eli, it is a pleasure to get a chance to finally sit down and talk with you. How's life treating you?
It's good. Yeah, all things considered, life is good. Sorry it took so long to get this figured out.
You are fine. We've been doing the podcast, having Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck jump in from time to time, and they still can't figure it out. So don't feel bad.
Well, if I ever get compared, anytime I get compared to Jerry Lynn, I think that's pretty good.
I tell you what, for an old man who's got 2 screwed up hips, and he's still a legend in so many people's eyes, and he's a good dude. So you're in good company. Let's kind of talk about this kind of right off the bat here. It's the big pink elephant in the room here. So the Ring of Honor situation, it is kind of it's a bummer it's got to be a bummer for the wrestlers, but for us who jones for this stuff, it's just like it's been stripped away. I mean, was this something that you guys had some type of idea may happen, or was it just one of those very impromptu, hey, we got to call a meeting and this is what's going to happen?
Yeah, it was very out of left field. It just it came as a big shock to me and a lot of people that I know. Yeah, I mean, we thought that we were gaining ground. We thought that we had a lot of good things going for us. And then we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, and then that's when they told us that they were going to, cease operations until next April. So yeah, it really caught a lot of us off guard. And now it's crazy with all this, the WWE releases, and now with Ring of Honor, taking some time off. There's just a lot of great wrestlers out there looking for work. So now, just for me, that makes me want to turn my game up even more.
It's interesting because, we just come off of the pandemic, or we're still kind of somewhat still dealing with it. Mm-hmm. But, people were so pumped up because now all their favorite TV shows are coming back. And now to have that kind of a blow, I mean, as far as a wrestler goes, you got to feel like, okay, now we're starting to get back on our feet again. And then you're dealt with another crushing hit. Have you had a chance to talk to any other Ring of Honor people that you've worked with and what their sentiments are? Is morale seems still to be pretty positive that things will come back, or is it still kind of hit and miss and wait and see?
Yeah, so we had our last scheduled TV tapings last week through November 1st and November 3rd, and it was sad. It was, a lot of people were emotional, including myself, just because everybody worked so hard this year to build Ring of Honor up after 2019. And yeah, it was very sad, but it was very, people were hopeful. I'll say that for sure. People were hopeful. Everyone knows that, this isn't the end for them as wrestlers, and we think that Ring of Honor will come back in some capacity for sure, but I don't think it'll be the same, which is, it's unfortunate, but I know that ROH is going to be there in some capacity, which is awesome, because Ring of Honor, to me, is the most influential wrestling company in the past 20 years, I would say, just the names that have come through there and the matches that have happened. So Ring of Honor will always have its legacy, and it will always, be here in some way or form. But yeah, definitely sad. A lot of people had a lot of good things to say about everybody. Everybody was uplifting themselves. So excited for the future, but it does suck for sure.
Now, at least you guys have the ability to go ahead and even during Ring of Honor time, do you guys still have opportunities to fill your schedules up with dates, working with other promotions as well?
Yeah, certain people's contracts were, they couldn't work for certain independent shows and stuff like that. But now with the news that are broke, they're allowing everybody to work whatever they want, wherever they want, which is nice of them, to let us have that type of freedom. They've always given us freedom. So it's nice that they're continuing to do that. But yeah, everyone's just trying to fill up their dates, trying to get out there, trying to, make the most of this crap situation, I guess you could say.
When it comes to the world of wrestling where it is right now, there's so many places for people to work now. And I was talking to a couple different wrestlers, and they said, the beauty of being on the independents is that you can make your schedule. You can determine where you're going to work, how long you're going to work for, what parts of the country you want to work at. And I think that definitely lends itself to allow wrestlers to either hone their skills if they want to go to a certain part of the country, work a different type of style, maybe work on some different types of promos and storylines. We're big affiliates of PPW, which is obviously in Pennsylvania, which is a very, very well-established promotion. And also AAW, which is up in Chicago. Danny Daniels and Trent Severri run that promotion as well. So now that you've got some time on your hands to do some different things, is there any areas in the country that you may be thinking about maybe making an appearance at?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to get out more in the Midwest for sure, because I'm from Indiana, Northwest Indiana. So really close to Chicago, my hometown is. So yeah, I really want to get out in the Midwest more because I was looking at all my matches. I write all my matches down. And it's like 90% of my matches are Ring of Honor matches. I haven't really worked the independents because I really didn't have to. You know, I had all these great wrestlers in Ring of Honor. That's why, you know, I'm the type of wrestler I am today, is because I had such great wrestlers helping me and, you know, helping me improve. But now it's kind of a weird thing because it's like I'm working in reverse. Now I have to go out to the indies now after I was in Ring of Honor. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to get out there. Definitely want to work the Midwest more. And I definitely want to try to work some East Coast shows because I live out in Bristol, Pennsylvania. So trying to get those two like homes trying to get those territories and get my name out there.
Well, I think a good thing with this is being a Ring of Honor superstar, you can definitely get the Munsky, get the money out there and be like, hey, we're bringing in a big star. So I think that even though it's working in reverse, I think that's definitely going to be beneficial for you as well. The Warrior Wrestling, which is really, really cool. If you guys out there watching the show tonight have not seen it before or heard of it before, Warrior Wrestling is huge, and they are up near the Chicagoland area as well. And Rockstar Pro, I'm not sure if you've ever got a chance to work with Rockstar Pro. They're actually in Dayton, Ohio. Another great promotion as well. And there's Black Label Pro that's over in Indiana as well. So there's so many different places that people can work and not only get more exposure, but definitely get a paycheck, which is really the most important thing during times like this.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what's good about this situation. I always try to find, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So, it sucks that Ring of Honor is taking this time off, but I don't feel worried for myself because I know there's so many great promotions out there and I know there's so many great wrestlers out there. So even though I'm not doing it, I guess you could say on a larger scale or a larger size that Ring of Honor was, but still, the fact that I can go wherever I want and I can, wrestle all these great independent wrestlers that are hungry and they want their shot. That's what I want. That's how I've always been. I've always been hungry. And I've always wanted to prove myself. And I think this is the perfect chance to do it.
One thing I respected about during the pandemic with Ring of Honor is how they paid all their contracts through the whole pandemic. And now, like, they show the fans they care about you guys because now they know what's going on. They release you guys to do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And we get some of these dream matchups. Possibilities are endless. Like, I'm dying personally to see the Briscoes wrestle anywhere else because those guys are them boys.
That's right.
So where would you like to sit there and see yourself at, get an opportunity, and who would you like to work?
Oh, there's so many names. But yeah, like I really want to. I've worked for Warriors before, but I really want to work for them again. And AAW, I want to work for them. I want to try to work for JCW and GCW and all those places where it's like the fans are just so passionate. They really bring that energy. When I first started with Ring of Honor, that's the kind of energy that I see in these kind of independent promotions now, which is awesome. But in terms of like people I want to wrestle, I would love to wrestle guys like like Lee Moriarty, guys like Calvin Tankman. I just saw Hoodfoot on a JCW show, and he was awesome.
Nice.
I would love to wrestle him. So AJ Gray, I would love to get in the ring with him. So yeah, there's so many guys that are out there that I think I could have great matches with. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
I think one guy who I just interviewed last week for Future Stars Now, a guy that would mesh well with you. He works in MLW, Mr. Zenshi, the aerial artist. I think you guys could pull off some great stuff right there.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Come one, come all. I'm looking to wrestle as many people as I can, and wherever I can.
Well, hey, I'm sorry to cut you off, Freland, but if you had somebody from AAW right now, what would you pitch them to book you?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not a booker. I know I'm a wrestler. So that's a tough question. But
Trent, are you listening? Here we go.
Well, there's one guy. He used to wrestle. He wrestled in Ring of Honor in the Pure Division over the pandemic, and that's Fred Yehai. So, and I never got the chance to wrestle him in Ring of Honor, but man, I would absolutely love to wrestle Fred because he hits hard and he's technical, and that's a side I haven't really shown too much. I'm normally I'm a quick, fast guy, but yeah, I would love to mix it up with somebody hits hard and has that technical ability.
Fred Yehai, Eli Isom. I wonder if we could get that to work out.
I don't know. Mr. Trent Saburi from AAW is in our chat room right now, just to let you know.
Oh, well, hello.
Hey, that's what we like to do, Freland and I. We like to help. We like to help out any way possible.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for letting me, shoot my shot here on the podcast.
Well, it's so funny because, when we talk about wrestling and you talk about your career, obviously, and it's kind of been the ideal situation, any pro wrestler. I mean, you made it to a major national worldwide company right off the bat. Yeah. You've been highlighted for a very, very long time. Now there's a little pause right now. However, with that being said, you talked about a little bit earlier how you've gotten to work with so many amazing people. Let's talk about some of the people that trained you, because you have a very, very nice list of people who were your mentors. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was trained by world famous CB, formerly known as Cheeseburger, Delirious, Will Ferrara, also Sumi Sakai. She helped train me. So yeah, those the who's who of Ring of Honor names, I would say. And a lot of people would think that maybe Will Ferrara and world famous CB, they wouldn't be such great trainers, but those guys, they've helped me out so much throughout my career. They were always there for me when I was down or I didn't really have too much confidence. They always built me up, and they always showed me the right way to do it, in the ring and out of the ring. And I'll never be able to repay them for what they've done, but I definitely am just forever grateful.
I mean, just those names right there have been very, very influential in the world of wrestling. And I think it's really great when somebody decides to take a step and to be a trainer and to be a mentor for the next group that's coming through, because it shows that they are so selfless that they want to help elevate other people. And I think that's what it's all about. You elevate others so you can work with people that are elevated, and it just makes everybody better. Everybody makes more money. The fans obviously get an incredible experience. So tell me a little bit about, when we talk about Ring of Honor, what are some of your most, that was spectacular moments that you've had so far in your career?
Well, the one that jumps off right off the bat is when I pinned Christopher Daniels in the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah.
When I still think about that, it's insane. It's great. It's just absolutely crazy. Another one would be when I wrestled Shane Taylor in Lowell, Massachusetts for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. That's a very special match to me, because going in, not a lot of people thought it was going to be anything of anything. They were like, oh, it's just a squash match, all this. But, Shane, he, like you said, he elevated me. He brought me up with him. And that's one of the things I'll miss the most about the ROH locker rooms, because everybody was there. They were very supportive, super supportive, and they were super willing to just give me any advice that I would ask. And that's probably one of the things I'll miss the most. But, yeah, those two moments I would say would definitely jump out. Definitely MSG. That's definitely another big moment. I would say those are probably my top three if I were to just sit, off the top of my head.
I mean, walking into WWE's backyard and having that Madison Square Garden show, and in basically showing the world that, I mean, outside of them, you guys are the only ones that went ahead and made it happen. And that is incredibly impressive. And as you said earlier, Ring of Honor has been known for pumping out some of the biggest names come through Ring of Honor. I mean, Kevin Steen, Seth Rollins has come through there. The aforementioned Jerry Lynn come through there. The Bucks have come through there. My guy, the cleaner, Kenny Omega as well. But there's so many Roderick Strongs. There's so many different people that have come through that company. And how would you, in your own words, describe the difference between Ring of Honor and any other promotion that you've worked for? If someone were to say, in one sentence, how would you describe the differences? What would you say?
The first word that comes to my head when you ask me that question is just passion. Ring of Honor's legacy is all about passion. And it's about hunger, and it's about wrestling. Really, and this isn't a knock on any other promotion out there at all, but when you get in a ring and a Ring of Honor ring, it's like there's just a different atmosphere. There's a different feel to it. It's intense. It's like you're in an actual fight. It's weird. It's crazy, especially since the pandemic started and we've been doing these shows without fans. It's a very intimate and it's a very just intense place to work, but that's what I love. That's the kind of wrestling that I love, is that just that hard nose, in your face, like unapologetically, it's wrestling. And I think that's what Ring of Honor's legacy is going to be, that it was wrestling, and it was wrestling done right.
There's very few promotions that they chant the three letters of the promotion. And I remember early on watching Ring of Honor, and I kept hearing this banging noise, and I didn't know what was going on or what that was, but that's a Ring of Honor thing. And the plastic facades that are around the railings, and then obviously the streamers as well. You talked about this earlier about Ring of Honor fans they're a fervent group of people. They're very passionate. They're smart fans. They know their history. They know the legacy of the company. And those three letters mean so very much, because, a lot of people who have moved on to do other things have made their way through Ring of Honor. And you have to be incredibly proud to know that you've left your fingerprint so far as of today on Ring of Honor, and it's only up here from here, and so many things that you're still going to be able to do until April rolls around again.
Yeah, I'm super proud. When I first started in 2017, I did not think that I would have this type of success, especially this early on. And just like you've named all the names, the Steens and the Genericos, and just the list goes on and on. Of it's a who's who, really. And I said it earlier too, but wrestling would not be wrestling today without Ring of Honor. Like when you see wrestling on TV, Ring of Honor's fingerprints are all over it. And the fact that I got to play just like a little small part in it's super special to me. I'll never forget it, and I'll be forever grateful.
I know our time here is short here. I'm going to throw it over the Ritster here. He's been wanting to ask it, and I'm gonna let him ask it.
Eli, this is the greatest question, and I have it copyrighted, that any podcast will ever ask you.
Okay.
Hot tub time machine. You can go back in the time to any match in pro wrestling history. Take somebody out. Eli, you're going in that match. What match is it and why?
Whew. I mean, so the first match that comes to my head is Rock Hogan, but it's like if I put myself in that, it's not going to be the same,
But here's the thing: you can't say that. You don't know.
Sure. But it's just like, yeah, for me, like growing up and before like I got into Ring of Honor, like that was the pro wrestling match. Like that's what pro wrestling was. It's just like the spectacle of it all. These two larger than life, characters just going at it. That I would probably say that maybe, if I could triple threat match, maybe I sneak in here and there, something like that. But yeah, I think that would be the match I would pick.
Like I said, I know we're pressed against the clock here, but is there any way we can twist your arm for a part 2, maybe a part 3, and just really kind of dive deep into your career? And there's so many different matches and moments we want to go over as well. Is there a chance we could get that for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I know the technical difficulty on my part didn't help things. So yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
So tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, buy your merchandise, upcoming matches, all the details. Go ahead. The floor is yours. Let them know.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Eli Isom, but the Isom is spelled EYESUM. That way nobody mispronounces my name, because it's happened a lot. It's happened a lot. So yeah, Twitter and Instagram at Eli Isom. You can buy my merch at shophonor.com. You can, support Ring of Honor while it's still around and it's still, prominent in our TV. You can, watch it on Fight TVs every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, or you can watch it on the Ring of Honor wrestling website. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for letting me come on here and talk a little bit, and hopefully I get to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. And you don't mind if we share your information with some other promotions and have them maybe reach out to you?
Oh, please. Yeah, I'll take all the help I can get. Absolutely.
Fred Yehai, huh? Interesting. We might have to make that happen. Eli, it is a pleasure. Thank you so very much. I know it's been a difficult time, but we have no doubt whatsoever that you are going to do incredibly well, not only after this in April, but for many, many years to come. Thank you so much for allocating some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
We'll talk to you down the road.
All right.
Thanks, Eli.
Wow. It's interesting because you get excited to talk to somebody who you really respect their work and you really want to get hyped up for an interview. But then it's like that big pink elephant in the room, like the Ring of Honor thing. And it's hard because you don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it because, like you said before, everybody was super emotional at the last TV tapings. And, just to know, it took me a couple of days just as a fan just to digest the fact that Ring of Honor is taking a sabbatical, and, fingers crossed, knock on wood, hopefully things will be back in April, but that's tough. The pandemic was a kick in the gut, and now there's another kick in the stomach. And I guess the biggest thing that you can just tell yourself is we just got to keep pushing forward.
I seen on Twitter, and all of a sudden I got the wheels going. What would the fans do if the last match on the last TV taping, they brought back, because they're all available, the first ever main event? Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels, and Low Key.
Wow.
That would be a big thank you to everybody.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. But guys, in all seriousness, please support everybody from Ring of Honor. Buy their merchandise, hit them up on social media, let them know that you love them, you appreciate them, and you cannot wait for them to come back in April. And let your local wrestling promotions know if there's a star that you want to see. Let them know, hey, I'd love to see this guy or this gal come into our territory and work as well. Because you know what? Things only happen if you speak up.
So we're going to sit there and take a quick commercial break.
Quick ski.
No, it's not your I'm too sexy video.
Wait a minute. I never said the I'm too sexy was the one we were going with. And I wasn't even making reference to myself. Because I wouldn't call myself sexy because that'd be arrogant.
The wife doesn't even call you sexy.
This was going so well, and then
it was. But we're going to take it right back on track. Guys, we're going to play a good personal friend of my video. Take a look.
The Love Alive charity is a nonprofit organization founded by professional wrestler, the Pope Elijah Burke, a college graduate and former Jacksonville sheriff officer who is a native to Jacksonville, Florida. The mission of the Love Alive charity is to give back to the community while aiming to improve the quality of life in Greater Jacksonville. Since 2012, the Love Alive charity has positively influenced many people by feeding the homeless, helping displaced families, and restoring faith in disadvantaged communities through humanitarian efforts.
Hello, I'm Elijah Burke. With as little of a donation of $1 or more, you can help make a difference in the lives of others. To donate and to learn more about the Love Alive charity, please visit theelijahexpress.com.
Couldn't agree with Elijah Burke any more than that. I mean, we're going to have that scrolling across the ticker, guys. Remember, life can get upside down, as we've learned about in the pandemic. But you know what? It could be you, or it could be me, or it could be anybody who needs help at some point in time. And you need to realize that. You need to remind yourself. So once again, if you can go to love-alive.org, once again, that is love-alive.org. It should be scrolling below here on the ticker. Donate $1. That dollar you would have probably spent, or 3 or 4, on a latte at Starbucks or the candy bar you were going to get at the gas station. Go ahead and do it, because you'll feel better about yourself. And remember, at any point in time, your life can get thrown upside down. So be there for others, because guess what? One day you'll need it too. So
Exactly.
with that being said, the show rolls on. Are you going to keep insulting me, by the way, for the rest of the? Should I prepare myself?
Oh, no. Well, there's going to be a lady present, so I'll keep it clean.
I appreciate that. I thank you.
Well,
Would you like to?
There's a lady present now, too, but, no.
Really? You got to dig in after I told you no more digs. Go ahead.
No,
do the introduction.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about
Uh-huh.
I was talking about her and Gorilla.
Mm-hmm. Do the introduction, because I'm excited about this.
Our next guest up is I've been trying not to call her Alyssa Marino for
the whole
several times
all day. Not Alyssa Milano. We don't want Alyssa Milano. Get her out of here. She ain't in wrestling.
Oh no, but we got the talented, the lovely Alyssa Marino.
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing?
Oh, there we go. Somebody without technical
Hello.
difficulties.
I heard there were some issues. Thank you guys for having me on.
No, thank you for carving out some time for us and joining us on the show to talk about your career and your experiences in wrestling, because the more we learn about people, the more we are drawn to them and to find out, what their journey was to get them to where they are. And I feel like this interview is going to be just as great.
Oh, good. I caught the end of Eli's and it was really fun. So
Eli's a good dude. I tell you what, he is a really, really good dude, and I think he's going to do well.
agreed.
I really hope you enjoy, because this is not your normal podcast. We are a little off the rocker. It's not the same old, hey, what's your favorite color?
What podcast asks you what's your favorite? Seriously, you get a wrestling star on and they say that.
I think I'm gonna start asking people on Let's Get Serial. These are the hard hitting journalistic questions that I think people need to know.
This is what the
It's
audience
Seafoam
wants.
Green. Just FYI, it's Seafoam Green.
So what's your favorite cereal?
Okay, so this one I put a lot of thought into. I'm gonna write a dissertation on it someday, but Golden Grams. So yes.
I
Good
forget
call.
about them sometimes.
They are so underrated. So I feel like there are just a few reasons. Number one, they stay intact the best. They keep their shape, they don't crumble apart. Number two, more bang for my buck. In the bottom of the bag, I don't get all the little like shredded powdery poof. No, I still have them. And number three, very minimal soggification. I don't like soggy cereal. I want things to stay crispy and fresh as possible. I feel like Golden Grams do all that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
From a language arts teacher, she's using great vocabulary here. I love it. This makes me happy.
Oh, thank you. It's what I pride myself on.
Well, let's kind of jump into this here. I mean, obviously, we're talking with you, the world of wrestling. Why wrestling? I guess that's kind of my first thing. Like, what is it about pro wrestling to you that got you interested in it enough to really decide, I want to pursue a career in this?
I think I've always loved things that were in the creative side of life. I used to watch wrestling when I was like 5 years old, like a very, very little kid. And then I fell off for the longest time. I think for me, when I rediscovered it, it was just this mixture of being completely enamored by entrances and people's music and just being so moved by the creativity and how it made me feel when I saw someone like coming down the ramp, to then the interactions and the stories that they were telling physically or with their promos or with the interviews backstage. There were so many elements to it that felt like drama and dance and violence. And I loved the culmination of all of them. So once I kind of rediscovered that later in life, it was kind of no turning back at that point.
So you start watching wrestling. Is there anybody who specifically caught your eye or caught your attention that you said, wow, just the way they carry themselves, their presentation, all of that? We all had somebody that we just kind of gravitated to. Was there anybody for you that you were kind of drawn to in the beginning?
So when I was a child watching it, it was not for a good reason, but the person that really made an impact on me was Paul Bearer. Not the Undertaker. I remember I was like, oh, Undertaker, whatever. Oh no, but Paul Bearer, he's scary. Like he was the person that stood out the most to me in my memories of watching wrestling at an early age.
So Paul Bearer, that's interesting because Paul is definitely, I mean, Percy Pringle had worked in the territories for many, many years, and then obviously went up to work for WWE and had an illustrious career. Unfortunately, several years ago, he had passed away, but he's definitely an icon within the industry itself. When was the first time you actually got a chance to see wrestling live? Would you remember the live event? Was it something in your hometown? Was it something that you had to plan to travel to go to? What was that like?
So as I said, I was a late bloomer. So I moved to LA in 2016. And that was when I first actually saw a wrestling event live. It was at a comic book shop, and it was in preparation for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's Red Carpet Rumble. So it was like an independent show, and I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun, and from there was when I started to put together that this was something I wanted to pursue. This is something I wanted to do. I didn't want to just be in the audience. I wanted to be part of what the audience was feeling. So yeah, but yeah, it was late. It was late in life, but yeah, it was at Meltdown Comics.
So, you said there was a lot of things about wrestling that kind of drew you, and the theatrics, the dance, the pageantry, all of that kind of thing. We use a lot of those type of superlatives whenever we kind of describe wrestling to people. And I feel like it's almost indoctrinated into us that there are certain adjectives that we just use when we describe the experience that is going to a wrestling event. What were some things that you did early on in your life that was maybe kind of similar to where there could be a crossover with that? Were you into acting? Were you into dance as well? What kind of things did you occupy your time with?
So I danced at a very young age, and I danced for a while. I danced like ballet, tap, jazz for like 9 years. But I always was doing something with my voice. I was always doing something vocally, from doing musical theater when I was starting at the age of 9, all through high school, and then started taking voice lessons and studying classical voice. I want to say I was like 10. And I actually went to college to pursue a degree in vocal performance. So I have my Bachelor of Music degree in vocal performance and classical voice. And that was something that I did with every intention of, okay, like I'm going to be an opera singer. I'm going to sing opera. I'm going to travel the world. And, that's what I'm going to do. That's what this piece of paper tells me that I can do. So now to do this wild roundabout of, okay, I'm still using my voice, but just in a different way. But yeah, definitely I had a lot of creative outlets as a child.
So you got the voice, which is a gift that, not everybody has. It's something that is definitely a huge, huge commodity for people. And you enjoy singing. And then obviously you didn't know that you would be involved in wrestling. So how did we get these two worlds to overlap at some point in time?
So when I had moved to LA and started, kind of getting into and watching wrestling a little bit more, It was actually for my roommate's birthday. I said I wanted to get him a one-day tryout to go to this local wrestling school. I was like, oh, I'll go with him, so he doesn't have to go by himself. AKA, I wanted to do it too. So we go through this one-day tryout at Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy in Bell Gardens, and
Love Santino Brothers.
You and me both. But they put us through hell. It was quite a day, and between running laps and taking bumps, we were hurting. And then we got to the very end, and we had been talking about like, oh, well, what would my wrestling persona be, and what would my character be? And I had come up with this idea, and at the very end of the one-day tryout was, okay, cut a promo. We're gonna do promos. And that was where things felt right. That was where it felt like I was supposed to be. That felt like it was my place in the wrestling world. Maybe not necessarily taking the bumps and doing the moves and calling the matches, but being a voice within that world. So I had been working on this character that ended up being a manager, like GM kind of character for the school. And that was where I kind of found my fit, and then just took different opportunities on more the broadcast side from there.
Well, Alyssa, I'm kind of curious. The first bump, people think it's people think that's a trampoline.
No.
So what was it like going there for your first bump?
My first, and I think maybe actually, okay. So the first bump I took in training was all of the wind went out of me. But I think I had so much adrenaline that I just like came right back up, and I was like, okay, I'm okay. Like, I'm alive. I'm good. The one, I think I took maybe 2 bumps at shows, and the second one was it was the end of my Kathy from HR character, and she was getting fired by Jezebel Romo. So I got clotheslined in this like segment, and everyone was watching on the monitors. They're like, damn, are you okay? Like, you totally whipped your head. I'm like, really? I didn't think, are you sure? I watched it back. I'm like, oh yeah, that looked awful. Like, that was terrible. But luckily I didn't feel anything, because I was just so nervous about that entire situation. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun,
So you start to get your feet wet. Obviously, you find where your niche is. And I think that's hugely important when it comes to wrestling, because a lot of times people go a long time before they find their spot, their exact what they like to do and how they can hone that in. So start doing the GM stuff, start doing the managing stuff, still using the voice, which is obviously your bread and butter, which you really want to continue to use, broadcasting, and then ring announcing. When it came to ring announcing, what was the first inclination that could be an opportunity? Who was the first person that started to bring that up? And how did that whole maturation happen?
It's interesting. So it actually kind of happened, I'd say, pretty organically, because when I did the one-day tryout at Santino's, I had started, talking to Chaos and kind of asking like, hey, like, I feel like the talking side is what really is more my fit. And he had been saying, he's like, we want to do a class for managers, for announcers, for production. So when we run that class, I'll we'll let you know. You'll see stuff about it. I was like, okay, like, it's probably never gonna happen, whatever. That ship sailed. Okay. And then it did. And in October of 2017, they launched the first ever manager class of Santino Brothers. So it was everything from learning, proper stance for ring announcing, doing mock events, because they were running open ring with the wrestlers. So having wrestlers come in, and each one would, have a manager that was kind of in training. So from there, kind of having that badge of Santino Brothers and saying like, hey, I graduated from this program, kind of led to more places taking it seriously. It kind of became a little bit easier to, at least within, Southern California, to say like, hey, I came from Santino Brothers. Like, I have this, This is my work ethic. This is what I can do. One of my first things I have ever got an opportunity with before even really ring announcing was backstage interviews. And that was at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And that was something where one of our referee Jeremy Marcus, who's now with New Japan, had said like, hey, have you ever thought about like doing interviews? Is that like ever something you would want to do? I'm like, yeah. And I think, and I still to a degree have this mindset of say yes and then figure it out.
Yep.
So I was like, yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. So we ended up, a small group of us from the manager class went up to a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood taping and helped set up the ring. And we're just kind of hanging around and watching. And, I was up right by the stage watching them do the interviews, like kind of the pre-tape ones with the wrestlers. And I think someone else from production was like, do you want to do this? I think we can get you like right now, if you want like to do like a little tryout one. I was like, oh, right now. Okay. Okay. Cool. So I had luckily come from a show the night before where I'd come right from work. So I still had like my nice work shirt in the car. I was like, give me 1 minute. So I like put on this work shirt and I run back out and I do like the first ever interview audition. And that was really one of my first non-wrestling, more of the broadcasting side opportunities that I received.
What kind of feedback did you get after that first one? Is that something that they got back in touch with you fairly quickly and they were able to tell you what they thought, or did you have to get a hold of them and say, hey, how do you think that went?
So I think it was something where it felt like the general vibe was like, oh, cool. Yeah. But like, I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to bother anybody. So I ended up just like kind of hanging out for the taping and watching everything. And it was great. I think I had this mindset where I was like, I don't want to be in the audience because I want to be on this program. And I don't want it to seem weird that I'm in the audience random. So I was like, I'm going to go help out at merch. I'm going to go stand by the merch table. I'm going to do that. That's my plan. And I don't know if I manifested the idea of like, no, it's because I want to be on this program. I don't want to, I don't want to sit out there, but whatever the case may be, I ended up going up for the next taping and then the next one. So I just kind of just stayed on top of it, so to speak. And it was good enough that I think I had asked if I could do another interview or if, hey, like, is there any opportunity for me to like jump on one of these? And I think maybe 2 tapings later was when they started using me more frequently, like more on a regular basis. Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, it's funny how right place, right time, and your persistence, definitely, there's a lot to be said for that. I know it sounds very cliche in some situations, but it is. I mean, if you're persistent, you stay on it, you obviously have the talent, you have the confidence in yourself. You know what? Why not? The worst thing they can say is, you know what? We're good. We don't need any extra people. But it ended up lending itself to another great situation. What were some of the really great people that you got to meet from wrestling that specific company out in Los Angeles?
I mean, honestly, most of my friends and loved ones in my life are from people that I've met within that company. So it's, I mean, everyone from, Heather Monroe, Andy Brown, like all these wonderful people that I still have really close connections with were people that I met from that program. And honestly, people even in the production side. So, I mean, Dave Marquez has been someone that's given me a lot of great opportunities to show what I can do. Nick Bonanno, who's wears so many hats within that, referee, writer, producer, everything, has had a lot to do with helping me kind of grow creatively. Because a lot of the time when we would do these pre-taped interviews, it was me and him saying like, okay, well, here's what we kind of want to get across. And then me going up, okay, well, what if I say this to Andy? What if I get this? Do you think this will work? And then, it's all this beautiful kind of synergy within everybody. So I just have so many great friendships from that program. A lot of really special people.
I think it's a very underrated role in wrestling is the interviewer, because You are the person that is helping them tell a story. You are the one that is getting the emotion out of them. And it is your role to help get across and sell the product that is what the match is going to be. And for you to, conjure up these certain emotions from them and it really build in the drama, and it gets you a chance to ask some of those questions, what do you think you're going to do to such and such on this night or whatever it may be. But the point is though people get locked into that. I think that's why people like Mean Gene for so many years was so well respected for what he was able to do. And JB, obviously in TNA, really, really good. So there's a lot of these people out there who've done this really, really well. And I think that it's a very underrated, underappreciated at times aspect of what an interviewer does. And it is not an easy job whatsoever.
Yeah, because I think that so much there's this balance that we need to find where we can't completely fade into the background, but we're not who it's about. So finding that and navigating this path of like, how do I get them to tell me what I need them to say, and kind of working backwards to formulate it. But yeah, I think that there's so much of even the demeanor of the correspondent has an effect on everything. If I throw it away, then why is anyone going to care? So.
Did you ever get a chance to see, they ever have any DVDs or whatnot of like outtakes and stuff like that? Or just, I worked within television as well, and just some of the goofy stuff that would happen. Somebody gets a case of the giggles, or somebody says something that shouldn't have been said, and all of a sudden it starts to turn into this big, fun, goofy parody that everyone knows it's not going to be used, but it's just a bit starts. So any funny moments like that where you're like, okay, this is off the rails, but boy, I'm having fun.
So funny story. We were literally just talking about this the other day. So I had an interview segment with Reno Scum, and giant, towering, very intimidating dudes. And I asked the question, how do you feel about facing an established tag team like the Tribe? And I go to Adam Thornstowe, and he says, and he has this really good, he puts on, the voice. And he goes, they're a lot like, cereal. You know how cereal, the longer it's in the bowl, the more soggy it gets. Tell him, Luster. I go to Luster the Legend. He's like, yeah, what is that thing? We're going to snap, crackle, and pop. And I was like, oh, and I'm literally, I'm almost breaking, but I'm somehow not. I'm like, yeah, exactly. And then Adam's, at the time I was using the name Kathy Campanelli. And Adam goes, Kathy knows all about cereal. Go follow Kathy on Instagram. And somehow we end it, and then everyone starts laughing. And we go, oh, that was funny. Okay, let's do the real take. Okay. We do it, whatever. And they use the first take in the broadcast. It made it to air. I don't know how it did it, but I love it forever. And it made me so, so happy.
That is awesome. And those are the kind of memories that you will forever carry with you. You know what I mean? It's just those random things that it went crazy, but it was so much fun.
Seriously.
So, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, obviously it's going, you're working with them. How does that kind of lead to the next chapter? I mean, did you always look at what would be next, or did you say to yourself, well, you know what, I'm working, I'm doing this as well, I'm really content? Or did you say, no, I think we need to keep pushing forward?
I feel like I'm always someone that wants more. Like, I'm never comfortable just being in any kind of place. I'm always like, okay, well, but maybe not next, but more, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not thinking about like, okay, I want to advance into another level. I'm like, no, I just want more stuff. Give me more stuff. So, I wanted to get new tools that I could acquire, new skills that I could work on, new places that I could go and do what I do. So I don't really think it was a matter of looking for what was next, like a new obstacle, but I wanted to learn more. I always wanted to learn more things, and I still obviously do. So yeah, I think it was more of just wanting more things to do, not necessarily different levels of things to do.
So at that point in time, I mean, obviously working with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, how do you feel like you evolved from, the stuff that you learned from Santino Brothers to doing that? Did you feel at any point in time like, okay, I'm starting to understand the nuances of how this works. I'm starting to understand the facial features, the cues, when to turn to this person, how to say this, and then the repertoire that you build up with people? Because after you've worked with them for a while doing interviews and whatnot, you kind of get a feel of what direction people are going to go into and their timing and whatnot. Did you feel like, yeah, I'm really starting to understand how this art form is done?
I am completely confident and comfortable in saying that I will never know all of the nuances of how this is done. And I'm totally fine with that. I think that it is always going to be a journey. And that's, I think, what I love about it, is that there's always going to be something new to learn. And I don't want to feel like I ever have it all figured out. I do feel like I've gotten myself to a point with my skills and with the things that I do where I feel like I'm all right, but I can always be better. There definitely is, I think, a certain level of evolution that came from, looking back at the first interview I ever did, to then, looking at one of the last interviews that I did before I started doing commentary for the United Wrestling Network. I was like, oh, look how much more comfortable I look. There's a really funny picture that I had on my Instagram, one of the first pictures that was ever taken of me. And I swear to you, I'm holding the microphone and I just look terrified. And it's a portrait of, hey, this is someone that's brand new at this and they're figuring it out. So I think that now, like, there's definitely been very much an evolution into just feeling, I think, more at ease in my own skin, in my roles. Yeah, I definitely think that it was a comfort that came along with it.
Yeah, I talked to Freland a lot, and one thing that I've always told him is when we're doing interviews, sometimes it's like, we're like all professional, and I personally feel uptight. Then all of a sudden, there's usually that one question that gets asked. Then all of a sudden, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, we're not even interviewing. We're just talking back and forth, having a good time.
That's it. And I feel like that can be the same way with even commentary. Like, a lot of the time, commentary doesn't have to be super duper straight laced. It's 2-3 friends that are watching matches, and oh my God, did you see that? Holy crap! Whatever the case may be. But I definitely think that there are a lot of, I think, nuances and layers to it that I think just the more that we loosen up, the better it is.
Now, with commentary, JR, the night that this is just something JR likes spontaneous, stuff. The night that Moxley made his debut in AEW, he didn't want to know, nothing. Mm-hmm. Are you the same type of way that you would rather not know anything and have natural reactions? Or would you want to, okay, I gotta, have everything in line?
I'm getting better at it, but normally I like to know everything that's going on. I like to have a plan. I'm very much a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, I'll say that. Where I always want everything to be amazing. It's not realistic, I know this, but I want to give myself every fighting chance in the world to do my best. And sometimes I think that may lead to over preparing on my part. So I'm trying to, loosen up a little bit.
So you got a lot of different gigs that you're doing, and you mentioned before the United Wrestling Network, which is awesome. Tell me a little bit about how that kind of came about.
So United Wrestling Network is Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Now it's Atlanta and it's Memphis. So with going in from the backstage correspondent position and then kind of just expressing that, hey, like, I would really love an opportunity to do some commentary, and going through the team, I think had gone through a couple different commentary teams. I mean, Todd Kennelly is incredible, and I think it was something where there just was never the right time. There was never the right opportunity for me to kind of sneak on or you know, stuff like that. And then years later, I think one of my first opportunities that I got was when we started doing Primetime Live, which was kind of mid-pandemic or maybe early pandemic. And that was a pay-per-view that United Wrestling Network was running. And it was kind of just like, hey, would that maybe be an option for me to be on commentary instead of doing the interviews? And I sure enough, they were like, you know what, let's do it. And that was just kind of the first shot within the United Wrestling Network. And now with the Atlanta broadcast that we've started up, I'm one of the commentators there. So it's something where it definitely evolved from that first opportunity, but I think it was just always something that I had put out there as something that I was interested in and something that I thought I could do.
And obviously having a stint, obviously with Ring of Honor as well, that kind of links up with our other guests we had as well. It's so neat to be able to get a chance to work with different promotions and different productions and find out how they do things and whatnot. That had to have been super fun as well. I mean, you have all this experience, and then obviously you get a chance to work with them. What was it like with your stint with Ring of Honor?
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I was terrified, and that was a situation where I had driven up with friends who were on the show, and no, actually they weren't on the show. I think we were all going to help out with like the hope of like, oh, well, maybe we'll get a chance to do something. And so we had driven up, we were setting up the ring, setting up those barricades on the side. And it was Death Before Dishonor. And it was a 2-night event. And the first night there, we just watched the show and helped out. And then it was actually Brody King, who Santino through and through. I don't know why, but he always was very supportive and really believed in me, even when I was doing my manager character. And he was one of the people that was like, hey, like I want to try and get you. I want to talk to them about you to try and get you a spot to do something, maybe a dark match. I'm like, okay, anything. Yeah, cool. Appreciate you so much. And he's a good dude. And he I think played a strong hand in having that happen. So I actually got to do, it was Jake Atlas and Bateman, and they had an awesome match on the broadcast, which I was not expecting to be on. So they were like, hey, both of these guys, so we're going to have you jump in with Caprice and Ian. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. But seriously, they were so kind, so generous with their time. I mean, both of them, like I reached out to both of them just to kind of, can I get any feedback? And Ian, I even ended up sending matches to, and he was so sweet to give me his advice and give me feedback on, like, they're such a great team, great people. So yeah, I was very, very grateful to have that opportunity and have it be as positive as it was.
Yeah, Ian Riccaboni, in my opinion, is so good, is so good at what he does. And man, there's so much talent out there. And until you actually expose yourself and open yourself up to all of these different territories, these different promotions, you really don't understand how much is really out there. I feel like a lot of people are very narrow-minded with, I watch one product, I watch one show, but you know what? You have to watch. You got to watch a lot. I would be remiss if I did not mention this, obviously, because NXT has been a big thing, WWE, and obviously it's gone through so many iterations and so many different changes and whatnot. But if you don't mind kind of touching upon how that opportunity came about, what your experience was like, and how all that went.
Yeah, so when I was when I had moved to LA and started getting into wrestling, I had applied on the careers website to even be considered for extra work. And I think I only went once to be there, be an extra. And I don't know if my name was kind of floating around in the system. So when it came around that they were looking for live event hosts, I had kind of popped up, and I don't know if it was a matter of the things that I had done in LA or things that had kind of maybe just from being around or being on the event or in the extra kind of pool. Another huge factor, I think, was doing the WWN seminar in Chicago. So I had flown myself out from LA to Chicago to do a seminar that was for referees and managers. And I said, okay, well, if I need to, I could be a manager. I did a manager character, and it was Tommaso Ciampa had done the seminar, and he was, talking to everyone and giving some incredible advice that was, very much geared for, for wrestlers, for actually even for referees as well. There wasn't a whole lot as far as announcers or commentators or stuff like that. So I was like, okay, but I can still apply this to what I'm doing. And I remember one of the things he said was, okay, we're going to do practice matches, and I don't want you to do anything that doesn't feel like 100% you. I don't want you to do things that don't feel authentic, that don't feel like things you would do. And I'm sure he was thinking of like, don't do moves that are out of your wheelhouse, like just do what's you, So then I'm thinking, I was like, okay, I'm not a manager anymore. I don't do this. This isn't me. I do commentary. You know what? And I walk up to Tommaso Ciampa and I say, hey, excuse me, I'm sorry. So you said about, and I'm like terrifying as I'm like, I'm just like, what am I doing? But I'm doing this. I was like, you said the thing, you said about it, we should do things that feel like us, that feel like 100% ourselves. I am a commentator. Is there any option for me to do commentary for these practice matches? He goes, can she do that? Yeah, you can do that. I was like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. So I ended up having my phone. I'm using the recorder on my phone to record commentary of these practice matches as I'm watching them. And he came over, Tommaso Ciampa came over, he sat down next to me and he listened in, while I was doing stuff. He gave me some really quick feedback between the matches and was so, again, just so kind, so generous with his time. He didn't have to do that. But he did. He's like, oh, okay, well, one of the things that I know, at the time, Morrow was on the announce team. He's like, oh, one of the things I know that Morrow does is, this, and this. I was like, oh, shoot, okay, cool, thank you. So just really, really good advice that even that was kind of out of his wheelhouse, but it was just things that he had picked up that he chose to share with me. That was so kind. I don't know if that played a part in getting my name out there. I think that it must have helped, but yeah, that was another just really cool experience that I think helped to get me on that radar. I got to do the dark match of that Evolve event, so it was really, really awesome.
It seems like you've taken advantage of every situation that's been presented in front of you. You've been very transparent about what your objective and your goals are, which is great. But you definitely continue to take that next step forward, meaning, hey, I've done this. I want to do this, or I want to do, like you said before, maybe not necessarily the next step, but I just want to do more so I can put more on my resume, so I can show people that there are many different facets of this industry that I can do, and I can do very well. So I think you definitely should credit yourself a lot for being able to wear many different hats and be able to go with the flow. Wrestling is very, from everything that we've learned, and I've talked to Jerry and Mikey, it's very extemporaneous. I mean, you have to be able to go. It's almost like, whose line is it anyway? You just have to be ready in the moment to say and do things in a split second. And you got to act like it's not being done in a split second. Keep your composure and make it look as professional as possible. And I think you've done it. I think you've done a really, really good job with that.
Thank you very much. And that's, I think, definitely something that was instilled from Santino's as well, was just the get in where you fit in mentality. If they need a ring announcer, you're a ring announcer. They need a commentator, you can commentate. They need a manager, manage. So I think it's definitely, came from them as well.
Ritster, I think you're itching for it. And all right, Alyssa, I'm going to tell you right now, You've taken the SATs, right?
Yep.
You've taken probably ACTs. You're probably taking a lot of standardized tests. And there's a lot of different questions on these tests. Mm-hmm. Well, here's a wrestling version of an SAT question. I'm going to turn it over to this guy right here. I've gotten better at this. I point in the opposite direction of where he is on the screen. Ritster, the floor is yours. Ask the question.
Okay, Alyssa, first thing first, we're going to break it down. But before I get to this question, What is at the map of behind you?
Oh, this is my hometown. This is Philadelphia. And my map of Philly.
See,
Nice.
What you should be, you should have a world map behind you. Because
the world map is in the other room.
I'm just saying, because you're taking over the world. You're not just taking over Philadelphia.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe someday.
But anyways, back to the professional question.
Here's the question. Oh, jeez. Well, if I'd say professional.
What would you like me to phrase it towards? Commentating or interviewer?
Ooh, let's do okay. Because I won't lie, I studied and I know kind of what the question is. So I would say commentary.
Oh,
okay, interviewer. Okay. We're gonna go interviewer for 500 because you studied.
Oh, okay.
What a good student studying before the test.
Ready.
I like it.
I'm ready.
If you can interview. Oh wait. Let me sit there. If you can go back into time to any interview that you have ever watched, take out like a Mean Gene Okerlund, or anybody you want,
Sean
and you
Mooney.
can interview that person. Sean Mooney,
Pettingale.
Was it Pettingale? Who's that other guy? That's
Tony Schiavone.
No,
Gordon Soley.
No, the one on WWE.
Michael Cole.
Michael Cole. Yeah, you can take any interviewer out, and you're interviewing that person for that special moment. Now, remember, you should have said you studied, or you could have got the commentator question.
I know, you're right.
So she's taking herself out of one of those roles and going to interview
anyone
wrestler,
any monumental one.
I would say, and I don't have a monumental moment, but I have a monumental person. Does that kind of count? Can that count?
It always counts. It's you.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
You're the guest.
I would honestly, if I could go and I pick anything ever, I would want to go to really any interview and interview Paul Heyman.
Wow.
I feel like he is such a master of words and of emotion and can craft and make you feel anything he wants you to feel, and to play any mild part in telling that story. Please sign me up.
I like it.
I loved listening to Paul when he was on Talking Smack.
Yes.
And when the guys were like Big E was sitting there, and I remember this like it was yesterday when he broke down Big E compared to Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. How Roman Reigns was just okay when he was with the Shield, but when he was separated, he became the star. Mm-hmm. This was right after Big E and Kofi and Xavier Woods got split up with the New Day.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm just like, man, just the way Paul puts stuff into words.
Yeah. He's a genius.
It draws you in. Genius.
Yeah. Genius. So articulate, so engaging. Yeah. Would love to be part of any of those moments over the course of his career.
I would love to just sit and just listen to him all day.
Seriously. Yeah.
I'm never going to wait for a paycheck from him, but
you're terrible. You realize that? You are terrible. Alyssa, let me ask you this question. Where can people find you? Where can they reach out to you? Where can they buy merchandise? Where are they going to find anything and everything about Alyssa Marino? The floor is yours.
Okay, well, I am on Instagram and Twitter at AYY_Marino, like A Marino. And I have my shirts up on belowthecollar.com/Let's Get Serial. Let's Get Serial is my interview show that I do, which is on YouTube every Saturday afternoon on my YouTube channel. If you just go to youtube.com/Alyssa Marino. I have a Patreon to support the show, so you get early access to episodes. Patreon.com/ I think Let's Get Serial. But if you search Let's Get Serial on Patreon, you will more than likely find it. And I think that's all the important stuff.
You have a lot of, you remind me very much of an individual we work with as well, Kate Hensler from Fightful. She works with Son Ross Sapp. It just reminds me, just as far as your energy level, as far as wrestling goes, the way you describe it, there does seem to be some similarities with that. So,
heck yeah.
Very cool. But we're definitely going to be promoting the show as well. That's on YouTube, guys. So go ahead and click the subscribe button on that one as well. We'll make sure that we post it on our Twitter account. And we would love to get a chance to bring you back again and hear more stories. Any chance we could twist your arm?
Absolutely. No twisting necessary.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome getting a chance to talk to you. We'll talk to you down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Alyssa.
Bye.
Wow. Alyssa Marino right there. It's so interesting because you just never know someone's story. And we've talked about this before, especially with Future Stars Now. You can hear about someone, you can read about someone, but until you actually sit there and you listen from their own words, hey, this is what I had to do, or this is where I went. And it is the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I say this, and I think half of you guys think I'm crazier than shit for saying this, but it is the 6 degrees because Santino Brothers were supporters of Santino Brothers big time in Bell Gardens, California. And then so many people we know have gone through that. And it's just, the wrestling world is as large as it is, as vast as it is really small and tiny because everyone somehow knows somebody because everybody seems to circle around and work through these different promotions. And this person knows that person, or this person was trained by this person. And we know that person. And we know different promotions now, and we can reach out to these promotions with a text message and say, hey, I think it might be kind of cool. They want to work with you guys. So it's just, we're kind of in that central hub right there. You know what I mean? When it comes to being able to connect people in so many different ways. But I really, really liked the interview. What was your takeaway?
I enjoy, we interview wrestlers all the time.
Yep.
We rarely get to interview interviewers, commentators, referees, promoters. I love to hear a different aspect, different takes on what people actually, think about the product, how they came about being a part of the product. It's not like people wake up one day and, I'm going to be a commentator,
right.
That's something you have to have a knack for. It's something you have to, learn. And are you okay?
I'm just getting comfortable.
It looks like you're getting ready to go to bed again.
No, I'm comfortable. I'm just getting comfortable. I've been sitting in one spot and I gotta switch it up a little bit.
We've only been live for an hour and a half.
Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. Listen, I got to move this table. When you sit in one spot for too long, your ass cheek, I'm just going to be honest, your ass cheek goes numb. So you got a little switcherooski right there.
Now, does it go numb or does it go num, 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 num? No.
That might be the creepiest thing you've ever said to me. And you looked at me straight in the eye. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah. Weirdo. But no, you're right. I mean, we don't get a chance to talk to a lot of people who have these different peripheral jobs outside of necessarily just being the wrestler themselves. And I think it's really cool. And it gives people an insight into what they do and how they got to do it. And everything they did to get where they are. And like she said, and we've heard this from so many other people, you know what? Make yourself available. Say yes to everything. And if you don't know what it is, say yes, smile, and then say, holy shit on the inside. Get yourself a drink of water, and then just the fake it till you make it literally is the truest phrase in anything.
I do that every day when I go to work with half the people I deal with.
Why not? I remember the first time. The first time I started working with middle school, high school kids, you just have to put on a persona because you don't know what's going to come your way. You literally have no idea. And you just fake it till you make it.
I do that every day at work. And it's funny because some of the people at work actually listen to the podcast now.
They listen to this?
They listen to this.
Jeez.
And now they're probably thinking, wait, which one am I? Am I the guy that he likes, or am I the guy he's faking it to?
No, they'll never know.
Don't care.
Don't even care. We don't care.
Freland?
You understand? Yeah.
Are you ready for the panel?
Jeez. I'm exhausted. I got my Golden Girls PJ pants on. I'm really comfortable right now. One ass cheek's asleep. I guess we can bring this cluster of people on. Jeez. But I'm very excited. There's one person on the panel tonight I'm very excited to get a chance to reconnect with and everything else. We have the resident anarchist. We have the Canadians. They're here. We're going to start calling them the Quebecers. That's what we're going to call them.
Jacques and Pierre.
Jacques and Pierre. Speaking of which, big shout out to PCO, a guy I get a chance to talk to frequently. Very nice person. Went ahead and made that video for our tribute last week. I appreciate that. Sandman, I appreciate you doing that as well.
Raven.
The Ravester, yep. Going ahead and doing that. It was very cool. And
couldn't do the podcast, but you did but you did a shout out.
Literally, the guy does a video and you're like, well, it should have fucking been on the show. Uh-huh.
Anyways.
His eyes were closed. His eyes were closed a lot. Did you notice that?
I kind of thought it was funny that the roast.
I thought it was a roast. But then Mikey would probably eat it. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And then you, I was trying to save the best for last. And you cued early Maize and Red. I knew that was going to happen. And you sit there and you wanted it early.
I was segueing. We were talking about people and we were introing. And speaking of high flyers, we have another high flyer. And then I just thought it made sense. If you would have told me, if you would have said, hey, you get your damn hands off her. Where's that from? Anyone in the chat, tell me. First person to say something.
We'll get an autographed Freland Oreo cookie.
Very nice. And I don't think that person wants anything autographed from me. But anyway, yes. I did not realize I screwed that up. So
you didn't screw it up. It's just I knew that one there would hit a little bit too close to home with Mikey.
It would.
So
and it did, and it very much did.
But before we bring them to the panel,
yes,
we want to do a quick little rundown. This Thursday, 8 o'clock, Cult of Beardo is back.
8 o'clock.
You have myself, the Butt, Renegade, and a new special guest that will sit there and a little tryout phase.
So wait, did they have a tryout phase the last episode?
No, it's this Thursday coming up.
So this Thursday, it's going to be their first tryout episode.
Yes.
So are you going to be like the Simon Cowell and then the Ass Man and Renegade are going to be kind of like the other panelists, like the Paul Abdul and the who was the one guy that was like Simon Cowell's right-hand man? He lost a bunch of weight. Who wears the glasses?
I'm Howard Stern. Are we talking about the same show?
We're talking about American Idol, right? Remember back in the day?
We don't care about American
Paul
Idol.
Abdul. I'm a big Paul Abdul fan.
I'm a great Paul Abdul fan from, you ever see Impractical Jokers, the movie? I'm Forever Your Girl.
Randy Jackson, thank you so much. Paul Abdul did that really cool music video where she was like,
Cold-Hearted
I think it was
Snake?
called Opposites Attract.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about Cold Hearted Snake. Good Lord. When I was like 12, 13 and that video came on.
Hello. Oh, man, get the washcloth.
But yeah, Cult of Beardo, 8 o'clock on Thursdays. And then we have moved Future Stars Now to Fridays at 8 o'clock. And,
it's going to be a big show this Friday night, I'm going to tell you right now. Big show.
And if you can't catch us live, head on over to the YouTube channel. That is YouTube.com/FRM Pod.
Is that really the URL?
Shut your mouth.
Is it? It's not. Our media manager's looking at us going, no, that's not.
Freland.
We're gonna have them. We're gonna have them tell us.
You do no. You don't
go to YouTube, type in front row material.
Yes.
You'll be fine.
And then follow us. Follow us.
Follow us.
That's all we ask. Follow us. We are going. Me and our producer are going to be running a special. A little special contest. I know we don't do contests very well. You know, they 90% of them don't even freaking have a finish to it. But this time,
hold on. That is so much horse shit. That is so much a lie. There was one contest I was in charge of. One contest. And I did ask people to submit. No one submitted anything, so the contest was null and void. It wasn't my fault. It was the people didn't submit anything. Don't try to throw this contest shit on me because you've been doing it for a long time. You're like, oh, there's a bunch of contests.
Freland
didn't follow through with. How many? How many did I not follow through with?
Do you want me to bring up the contest of the Macho Man, the promos or the?
That was the impression contest. The impression contest was the only fucking one. What was another one that I allegedly said I was going to do?
Anybody in the chat?
No. Screw that. Don't put them on the spot. You right here, Bush boy. What do you got? What's the answer? What's the other one I didn't do, huh?
I can't think right now. I'm under
weareharry.com. They're going to sign you up on a contract. That's all I'm going to tell you.
But anyways,
if you get that joke, then you're A-okay with me.
So let's get to the panel.
What? No, let's take a commercial break.
Oh, God.
Because I've had a recent doctor's appointment, and I need to.
You do know there's only one video we got to play.
I think there was a promo contest at one point. Yes, you're right, ECW fan. There was one promo contest. There wasn't anything else. See, look at you. Cat's got your tongue because you can't call me out on any other